Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great Monday so far, and as well as a great start to your work week. And today is January 20th, 2025. And in today's forecast, we're going to be going over what we can expect for the next few weeks, including a major winter storm that will likely be impacting the deep south over the next couple of days, including the potential for even a historic winter storm, especially if this winter storm ends up bringing a lot of snowfall to those areas farther down to the south. So we will need to be watching that very closely, as we could be talking potentially over a half a foot of snowfall in some areas, and we will also be watching for even some sleet and freezing rain with this system as it rolls on through the next few days. And it's not just going to be that winter storm, it's also going to be those barely cold wind chills, as we could be seeing wind chills well into the negatives across some of these areas farther down to the south. So we will be watching it very closely for you over the next few days, and as well as the next few weeks, as we could even be tracking another winter storm around. But if you are new here to the YouTube channel, or if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button, as we upload every day on this channel. It's also good to check back often for updates, as we will sometimes do more than one video per day depending on how active the weather is, and we might end up doing another live stream today or tomorrow, so that way we can keep you guys safe from the winter storm. So make sure to subscribe so that way you guys don't miss out on that either. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know, and those are much appreciated as they help spread the word out to everyone. And of course, make sure to share this with any friends, family, or anyone who you know on social media. If you guys would please do that, that would be much appreciated, especially if you know anyone down there in the deep south. Make sure to share it with them, so that way we can keep them safe, as we will probably go live one of these days. But let's first start off by giving you guys an overview on what to expect for the next few days with these watches, warnings, and as well as these advisories. And as you guys can see, we will be tracking a huge area of winter storm warnings and even those freeze warnings that are going to be in effect for a long time. Now, I know it doesn't show this, but there are a lot of cold weather advisories, and as well as a bunch of cold weather warnings pretty much across this area. And I'm getting ready to circle, it's pretty much across this entire area right there that we're seeing those cold alerts currently in effect. So we will need to be watching that area very closely, as we will likely be seeing those barely cold wind chills. And like I said, these winter storm warnings down there in the deep south and south central will likely be in effect for a little bit, probably until we get into the middle of the week, because some of that snow and ice even looks to stick around for a little bit, as some of you guys down there in the deep south might have a deep freeze for over a day. So we will need to be watching it very closely for you guys. And here's what that storm looks like as we play it out, because as we get into tomorrow morning, we are going to be tracking that winter storm starting to get its act together down there in southern Texas, and as well as eastern Texas, where Houston could start off by seeing freezing rain and sleet. And then as we take this forward again, we start to see a lot of that then start to shift on into parts there, Louisiana, by the time we get into the middle of our Tuesday, as we could be seeing that heavy snow really start to pick up down there. So we will need to be watching that. And then that snowfall will continue to move over Mississippi, Alabama, and as well as into Georgia, with a lot of freezing rain and heavy snowfall also appearing likely as it even starts to roll on into the Florida Panhandle, parts there, Georgia, and as well as into the Carolinas. So we will need to be watching that system very closely, as we could be seeing some major impacts as this continues to roll on through. Now, here's your total rain, your total freezing rain, and also your total snowfall with this system. Starting off with your total freezing rain, we do have some pretty good model agreement on about a tenth of an inch of freezing rain in some of these areas, especially northern Florida and southern Georgia. But we could even be picking up to a tenth of an inch of freezing rain even down there in Texas. So we will need to be watching that closely over the next few days as that rolls on through. And same with snowfall, we could be seeing anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snowfall down there in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama as the system rolls on through, as we do have some pretty good model agreement on even some areas possibly getting up there towards 5 inches of snowfall. So we will be watching it very closely for you guys, as we do have some pretty good model agreement on that. And just to show you guys how crazy this could be, this is like the first time in years, guys, that I've seen the ARRR model show this. But look at that. Down there in southern Louisiana, we're seeing anywhere from 10 to 12 inches of snowfall right down there in Louisiana, guys, including New Orleans. This is crazy. This is something I could not remember. And like I said, we don't usually get this much snowfall down there in the deep south, which would literally put us 12 inches above average, guys. This is not good. We definitely got to keep an eye on this very closely, as some of the malls like the ARRR mall that we're looking at do want to show a lot of snowfall, but at the same time, some of the other malls don't show nearly as much, so we kind of just got to watch it closely and see how much it really brings. But I think it's safe to say that some areas will definitely pick up anywhere from 6 to 12 inches. It's just where exactly it occurs that is going to remain very uncertain. Now, let's take a look at those travel impacts. Starting off with today, we are going to start seeing those minor impacts start to pick up down there in Texas as we get into the overnight hours tonight. And then as we take this forward into tomorrow morning, we will likely start to see those minor impacts start to expand more across Texas, but also start to worsen as it moves on into Louisiana, with major impacts definitely appearing likely tomorrow, as that snowfall will still likely be around. And we could even see some of that even over there in the Georgia and as well as into Florida. And that's when most of that winter storm will start heading out, but we'll still be left with minor impacts across a lot of those areas. So this is definitely not looking good news, especially as we get into tomorrow, where, like I said, we will definitely be seeing those major impacts down there in Louisiana, especially as we get into tomorrow. And like I said, we might even go live for this tomorrow, as we could be seeing some very historic snowfall totals, and as well as some devastating freezing rain amounts. Now, the other thing to watch for over the next few days, at the same time we're going to be seeing that winter storm, is going to be these wind chills, where we will likely be seeing a lot of this area seeing wind chills in the negatives. Look at that, -11 over there in Indy, -17 up there in northern Illinois near Chicago. Look at that, -34 up there in Minnesota, -45 up there in the Dakotas. So definitely not looking good for a lot of you guys, as we could be seeing wind chills dip all the way down there into the 40s, but we could also be seeing those wind chills even get down there into the negatives as far down south as the Tennessee River Valley. And then as we take this forward into tomorrow night, which will be for your Tuesday night, we continue to see those wind chills around, with wind chills likely back in there in the negatives. And then some of you guys are probably asking about if we'll get another big winter storm, and we could be seeing another winter storm, which could be impacting the Great Lakes region by the time we get into our Wednesday. So we will need to be watching that very closely, like I said, as we could be seeing the potential for some excuse me, for some pretty big snowfall totals over there, and we definitely will need to even be watching this rainfall on the southern side of that system, as we could be seeing some pretty big rainfall totals, as well as heavy rain and even some thunderstorms could be possible, so we will need to be watching that very closely. Now, the last things we're going to talk about is going to be your February, and as well as your total rain and snowfall. Starting off with your February forecast, we will be tracking a very active February, guys. We could be seeing a lot of severe weather down here in the deep south, and as well as the lower Ohio Valley by the time we get into February. So definitely something to keep an eye on very closely, as we will likely be seeing a lot of rain and, like I said, maybe even some severe weather as we get into our February. And just to show you guys that, this is the 3 to 4 week outlook from February 1st all the way through the middle of our February, where we do have some pretty good agreement on above normal precipitation over here in the east, and as well as the Ohio Valley, especially with above normal also likely across the northwest. So we will definitely need to be watching that very closely. And then after that, let's now go look at your total rainfall and also your total snowfall. That is anywhere from now all the way to February 1st. And as you guys can see, we will be tracking a lot of rainfall down here in the deep south, especially when that warm air starts to surge on in. And this doesn't mean we're going to be seeing rainfall with this winter storm. That just means we're going to be seeing another round of rain as we get into the future. So we will need to be watching the end of January very closely, as there will likely be a few surges of warmer air moving on in, bringing just plain old rain instead of a winter storm again, which would be good news. And same with snow. We will likely be seeing that snowfall down there in the deep south. It's just very uncertain on how much we get, while even over here in the Ohio Valley, New England, and as well as the Mid-Atlantic, we may pick up some pretty big snowfall totals. We just don't know exactly how all of it will play out. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's weather forecast. Sorry if my voice sounded a little bit weird. I am a little bit congested this morning, but I am thankfully able to give you guys the weather forecast. And like I said, make sure to subscribe, as we do upload every day, and we will also do more than one video per day depending on how active the weather is. So make sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't clicked that already. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know, and those are appreciated. And of course, make sure to share this with any friends, family, or anyone who you know on social media, including anyone who you know that lives down there in the deep south. If you guys would please do that, that would be much appreciated. And also feel free to leave any comments down in the down below the video, as I will get to those comments in just a second. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.